Good morning and welcome to Veterans Call, a show for and about veterans. My name is Shannon and I'm the Director of Veteran Services for the town of Franklin. I am honored to have in our studio a very important guest today, Lauren Turner, who is the founder and director of the Warrior Within yoga program, which is a free yoga program for veterans and first responders. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
So, Lauren, tell us a little bit about yourself and your vision for the Warrior Within yoga program. What inspired you to start the program?
So our nonprofit started sort of as a dedication to my family who were veterans, my grandfather who was in World War II, my uncle who was an Army veteran. About 5 years ago, my uncle was taken in for hospice at a veterans center, and I got to see firsthand just the quality of care and the dedication that the veteran community has for one another, how great job they did to take care of him in his last week or so of life. And it really moved me to want to find a way back to give to veterans that was meaningful. I had already been teaching yoga for several years. I managed and owned a yoga studio, so I knew a lot about the yoga industry, knew a lot about yoga and its benefits specifically to veterans. And so that kind of put me on a path to continue to learn more about the community and how best to bring yoga to this population that has this incredible need for programs like this. The nonprofit itself came about because I could identify that even though we had this great body of research that shows and talks about the benefits of yoga, specifically for like post-traumatic stress, anxiety, sleep quality issues, and there was this great need for it in the community, there wasn't anything that really existed out there that was specific to the military, specific to the first responder community, and that there were quite a number of barriers to access programs like these. So the nonprofit Warrior Within Yoga Project was created to bridge that gap between the yoga world and the military and first responder community by making things more accessible.
Oh, wow. So that's very interesting. So your family background and experiences led you to see this gap and address it. So tell me about the barriers that you're talking about and how you address them.
One of the biggest barriers with military and veterans and first responders accessing yoga is the cultural gap. Mm-hmm. And we like to think in the yoga world, if we just open up our studios or our classes and say everyone is welcome, that people will come and benefit from what we're offering. And that's not necessarily the case. The veteran community has a really unique scope of need that's beyond just post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder. We're also thinking about traumatic brain injury, the distinction between that and moral injury, military sexual trauma. So there's this large scope that we have to look at first to decide what are the best techniques within yoga that need to be applied, and then how do we deliver that in a way that's relevant and meaningful to a group that has a very unique experience compared to the general public. And so some of those, when I talk about cultural relevancy, with our classes, we don't necessarily bring in any of the yoga philosophy or some of the pseudosciences that you might hear when you take a public class. Instead, we're focused on really more of the evidence-based techniques of breathing, moving, and mindfulness or meditation, some of the attention focusing types of exercises that are a bit more accessible to someone who's brand new. So we're taking out like the woo-woo and really delivering something that's more practical and straightforward, which is really helpful for folks who've never been inside a yoga space or don't feel welcome inside a traditional yoga space. Instead, they're coming into a space that is designed for their community, where they're practicing next to people who've had similar experiences to them. So cultural relevancy and breaking that cultural divide is a huge piece of what we're doing. Another barrier sometimes is accessibility and whether or not someone can participate in a public yoga class based on their mobility, based on their age. So a lot of our teachers are trained in how to use chairs in their yoga classes so that we can create this cohesive experience regardless of age or mobility. So we'll have people who don't need a chair in the same class as people that would benefit from a chair, and that way people can all practice together.
Wow, thank you. So there's a lot of different considerations that go into this. What are the goals of the program?
We want to bring tools to the community that help to manage stress, increase resilience, and promote post-traumatic growth. So we're using yoga as a means to teaching skills that help people beyond the program, beyond the classroom. And so when you practice breathing techniques in a space, you become more familiar with different breathing patterns that can help calm the nervous system outside of a yoga classroom. And practiced in repetition, that helps people reduce some of the symptoms associated with chronic stress, with anxiety, with depression. We see improvement in symptoms with people who have experienced post-traumatic stress. And so we want to make this a really practical tool where it's not just about coming in and getting the work done in that hour. It's about the cumulative benefits that come with practicing yoga over time.
And how does yoga benefit people and the veteran community specifically?
There's a lot of physical benefits. There's also some of the benefits for mental health as well. Physically, it's a great, generally safe way to promote movement and increase mobility and decrease pain. So generally speaking, it's an accessible way to keep healthy movement going regardless of age. The big one that people talk about that gets us really excited about the potential for yoga is the mental health benefits. And specifically what we see with yoga is how it helps to self-regulate the nervous system. And so if you experience a lot of high anxiety, stress, hypervigilancy, the techniques that we use in a class help to kind of lower that stress level. So in a single class, you might come in feeling a little agitated, maybe you were stuck in traffic, had a tough day at work, and you leave class feeling more relaxed. That's great. But when you start doing that over and over and over again, we start to change some of the neural connections in the brain so that stress is not always the default. We start to build more of a window of tolerance in our day-to-day life, help to build that resilience. And when we do that, we start to change some of the brain function. And in fact, there's some research that shows that specifically in post-traumatic stress, where regions of the brain, like the fear center, have increased in size as a result of that disorder, that with mindfulness over time, mindfulness practices, mind-body practices over time, that fear center can start to reduce again. So it's not just the symptoms that are lowering over time, but there's actually changes in the brain that happen as a result of yoga and mind-body practices, which is really fascinating.
That was exactly the word I was thinking. So not only do people get the short-term benefit, but there's a lot of long-term benefits as well.
Yeah, and we survey people as they come in through the program. So before they take their first class and right after their first class, we ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how would they evaluate their stress? And in a single class, and this is including people who have never practiced yoga, we see about a 60% reduction in that level of stress immediately following. Now, those aren't long-term benefits, right? As soon as you get back into the world and something stressful happens, that state can change. But as we track people who come repeatedly, even after 6 classes, that baseline stress begins to reduce. Right now, it's about 25-30% lower than when they surveyed coming into the program. So we want to keep our eye on those metrics because we know that just like everything else, the more you practice something, the better you become at it. So the more that you're practicing stress reduction techniques, the better the body by default has those tools on hand in everyday life.
So the program, as you've designed it, is an incredible tool to manage stress.
Yes.
It sounds
Yes.
like. Yep. How do you train your instructors to achieve these goals and create this effect?
So some of the big things that we need our teachers to understand and the background that they either come into our program or into our organization with or we train on is trauma informed, meaning understanding that these populations experience higher rates of traumatic experiences or potentially traumatic experiences. So they come with high levels of stress. And there's certain protocols that we'll have in mind to help reduce people that might have a higher state of hypervigilancy or that might could potentially be triggered by certain things in the classroom or the way that we're delivering a class. So we have to be trauma informed. We want to be evidence-based. We want to understand the research out there on yoga and yoga for veterans, yoga for the military, and how do we apply that into our classes and make that be a priority. And also the cultural relevancy. Many of our teachers have a personal connection to the military or to the first responder community, either because they have a family member that served, they themselves have served, and so in a sense they understand the community and are empathetic towards the needs of the community. But it's also important that we train people on what does that demographic look like, what are the needs, so that we're really creating the space tailored around the military and veteran community and not trying to fit people into a traditional yoga program. So we do some in-house training. We also utilize other national organizations that specialize in yoga trainings for working with the military population. And we make sure that all of our teachers feel really prepared so that we can have a consistent way of delivering this program into all the towns and all the locations that we bring this into.
So, having been to these classes myself, I can say that the instructors are excellent and that training all has quite an impact. Do you do any fundraising or work with specific groups to be able to offer this program for free?
Yeah, so another barrier that we identify is cost. You know, yoga class, a single yoga class can be as much as $30 for a single class. And if you're brand new to yoga and aren't really sure, that might be just enough to deter you from even trying yoga. So it's important that we have this offering as being free to the community. We want to see a much larger amount of veterans, a much larger body of first responders coming in and doing yoga. We want to change that perception of what yoga is. So we offer it as free, but we do invest in training. We do invest in our teachers because they are specialty trained. And we've been very fortunate, even as a young nonprofit, to be able to secure some decent sized grants the first 2 years of our operation to be able to fund that. But we also rely on donations and contributions from individuals. We do annual fundraising campaigns. We'll do public events and breweries, or we did horse yoga a couple weeks ago in Holliston, and we try to find partners in police, fire, the Veteran Service Office, local towns that may have budgets for programs, wellness programs for veterans, and want to bring in something like we're doing. So it takes a lot, and as we grow, we're going to continue to rely more and more on contributions from the public and key partnerships with larger organizations than ours. But it's a mission that seems to resonate with a lot of people. The value that it brings is pretty apparent. We have great feedback from program participants, and people are really excited about this work. And so we are seeing a lot of support from the community, which is really exciting and really validating too.
Yes, absolutely. That's excellent. And I know the Franklin Senior Center, for example, allows the space to be used for free.
Yes.
And I just wanted to send a little shout out to them. But that's wonderful that there are so many organizations that see the value of your program
Yes.
and are able to contribute.
Yes,
And-
we're so lucky to find places that are willing to offer their space at no cost to us. Again, we're small, and we're trying to continue to make this free for our veterans, and so having spaces like at senior centers, we've done programs at AMVETS, at VFWs, fitness centers that have space. So we're at NRG Lab Fitness in Milford right now with our other class that's kind of close by, and that makes it much more possible to actually bring this into these communities. Yoga spaces are wonderful too, but sometimes people feel a little trepidation in trying a yoga class. So we think of, well, where is the community, where is the veteran community comfortable with going? If they're already accessing veteran services at a senior center, well, what a great space then to bring our class to, because it's right there. It's a place that they're comfortable with.
Oh, very good strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk more about who is eligible for this class. You've mentioned veterans and first responders. What about family members?
Yes, we do include family members as well, caretakers. Sometimes that's what it takes to get the veteran or the first responder to come. They want to come with somebody, and that's great. But also family members and caretakers take a some of the weight on themselves as too. They're part of the military community as well, the spouses, the children of, and they have needs as well. And so sometimes we see that it's the spouse or it's the child of the veteran caretaker that's coming independently, and that's great as well, because that's part of the need that we're addressing too. Of course, we want to continue to bring more veterans themselves, more service members, more first responders in, but it helps to create a great group dynamic to have partners as well.
Thank you for explaining that. So say somebody wants to sign up for class. How would they go about doing this, and what should they expect at their first class?
Great question. We have a website, www.warriorwithinyoga.org, and they can find an online schedule of all the classes that we have in the Metro West and kind of Blackstone Valley area, Franklin included. And they can look, they can click, they can register with their name, their email address. We will ask them their affiliation to the military first responder community, and they'll get more email instructions about where the class is, timing of the class. They can add it to their calendar for a reminder. And our Franklin class is offered Thursday nights, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock at the Franklin Senior Center. We have 2 different teachers typically rotating. So Kathy, she has family that's part of the veteran military community, and she's been teaching many years. She's lovely. Chris, he's an Army veteran that's from Franklin that coming in and teaching, so he's part of the community as well. He's wonderful. The classes are meant for people who are beginners or people that have a lot of experience with yoga. And assuming that maybe someone has not tried yoga before and this is their first class, what they might expect is coming into a group, they'll be asked to start probably seated in a chair on the floor. When the class begins, you'll probably do about 10 to 15 minutes of some kind of warm-up, some breathing exercises. And then the class starts to build a little bit. You might be doing more standing postures. You might be working on some more balancing things. And then the last, again, 15 minutes or so, things begin to cool down, lowering the heart rate a little bit more. And there's usually more focus on some of the more meditative techniques or the attention training that we do, where we're asking people to be more still. Maybe their eyes are closed. They're focusing on their breathing again, or they're being guided through a meditation. And then there's usually a small 2 or 3 minute pause of just silence at the end to, again, practice mediating the busy thoughts that tend to pop up once we're quiet again. So that's part of the practice as well. We have all the equipment that we need at the places that we offer the classes. So if you have a yoga mat, you can bring one. If you don't have one, we have what you need. So it's just really coming in comfortable clothes, maybe bringing some water, and just being open to what to expect. The first class, you're still kind of navigating what the poses are and the different stretches, and if it's new, that might make it a little bit harder to unwind your first class. But if it's something that you think is somewhat enjoyable, come back for the second one, and by the second one, things start to click. And we do see a high return rate. So in this area, in Franklin and Milford, about 70% of people that come back for a second class, which is great.
Oh,
And considering that many people that try this stuff is brand new to yoga, that's a great testament to the accessibility and the fact that it's tailored to the military and first responder community. And it's really encouraging to see that people that may not have thought that this was going to be helpful are finding it helpful.
That's excellent. Can't say enough great things about this program. Are you up for doing a demo today? Maybe of chair yoga?
Sure. Yeah. Do we have time for that?
Absolutely.
All right. So I want to do a little demonstration of some chair yoga poses that you might see in one of our classes. If you're tuning in, you're welcome to just watch and see what we do. If you want, you can also participate. We'll probably take about 4 or 5 minutes to go through some stretches for the neck, the spine, the legs, all from a chair. So really accessible. If you want to sit on the floor, you can sit on the floor instead. Most of these things can be done standing as well. If you're in your chair, slide a little bit more forward in your chair with your feet underneath your knees, hands in your lap, sitting up tall. So instead of rounding and slouching back into the chair, adjusting your posture to be really upright. So think about that proud, attentive posture with shoulders relaxed away from the ears, tall spine. And for a moment, looking down at your floor or closing your eyes. And just notice a breath moving in through the nose, into the body, and then back out. So paying attention to your breathing, possibly making it a little bit deeper, and possibly making the exhale a bit longer. So attention to our breath, really helpful in focusing our mind and preparing for our movement. I'll have you take your right ear to your right shoulder, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And as you inhale, roll the head back. Exhale, roll the head to the left, and then back forward. So some small circles for the neck. We're going to start with the neck and move down the spine in a moment, but continue to rotate the neck around in a circle, shoulders relaxed. And then when your chin meets the center, there's no rush to get there. This is just a little demonstration. You can reverse that direction, inhaling the head over to the left and back, and then exhaling over to the right and back forward. So we'll do this about 2 or 3 times, and you might notice that there's places that feel tight or places where this stretch feels really good. When you meet center and there's no rush, come to sit back up tall. Now, once again, take your right ear to the right shoulder, but this time take your hand and place it on your head. But instead of pulling your head down, I want you to press your head into your hand. And you'll notice that the left side of your neck begins to tense up. The muscles begin to tense a moment as you press the head into the hand. Breathe slowly. Take another breath in. And when you exhale, release your head. Release your hand back to your lap and notice the different sensations on either side of the neck. One side might feel more open, the other side might feel a bit tight. And so we'll do the other side, taking the left ear to the left shoulder. We'll take the hand to the head. We're not pulling the head towards the shoulder, instead we're pressing the head into the hand. And by doing that, we create this active stretch. The right side of the neck tensing up, but breathing steady, breathing with ease. And take one more deep breath in, and when you exhale, release the hand, release the head, and shake out your shoulders, shake out your neck. And just notice how both sides feel. To continue to warm up our spine, take your hands to your knees, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, round and arch the upper back, feeling the shoulder blades move away. And as you inhale, pull your chest through the shoulders, tilt the tailbone up and look up. So we're going to move the spine in a little like C shape, rounding forward, and then inhaling, pulling the chest through so that the spine begins to articulate forward and back. And we promote that steady, easy breathing pattern. You can continue to do this as long as you'd like, but for the purposes of our demonstration, we'll come back to sit upright, taking our right hand out to the side, palm facing up, breathe in, and then exhale, turn the hand down, reach it across the chest. Now, one option is to look at the fingertips as you're moving. Another option, if you feel as though you're getting a little bit dizzy as the palm turns down, reaches across, and you inhale it, open it up to the side, then keep your gaze steady. So tracking these movements can be really helpful for the brain and our brain health and for balance. But if you have experienced a traumatic brain injury, you might feel a bit dizzy and you might keep your gaze focused. Next, I'll have you hold on to the left side of the chair, reach that right arm over to the side and take a side stretch. Push down into the right foot, glue the right hip down, and take a deep breath into the right side of the body. And then exhale, come back up and sit. We'll do that on the other side. So this is for the shoulder and the side body. Extend your left palm up. You can look at the fingertips or keep the gaze fixed. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, turn the palm down, reach it across the chest. Again, inhale and open. And exhale, palm down, reach it across. One more time, in and out to the side. Exhale, palm down. And you could do this multiple times, but again, just for the demonstration, we'll do it about 3 times. Hold the left hand out to the side and then stretch over to the right. I don't want to lift the hips out of the chair, so push the hip down, press into the left foot, and reach far through the left fingertips to open up the side body. And then come back up to sit. So we're going to warm up the spine one more way by twisting the spine to the left and right, and then we'll do a couple of last things for our legs and wrap up the demo. I'll have you take your left hand across the body over to your right knee. Take your right hand behind your low back, either pushing down into your chair. You can wrap it behind the back of your chair, but let the chest rotate to the right. Sit up tall, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax the shoulders. Maybe look over that right shoulder. So not forcing, but trying to ease into the stretch. And then as you inhale, let's bring our hands up overhead, back to center. A big breath in. Bring your hands down to the chest. Take our right hand over to the left leg, turn the chest to the left. Push your left hand down into the chair or wrap it behind the back. And as you sit up tall, rotate your chest as far as it comfortably goes without straining. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, relax the tops of your shoulders, look over the left shoulder, and spend a moment or two breathing here. We'll reach the hands back up overhead. They can touch, and then track the hands as they move back down to the chest. We'll do a quick warm up for the legs. I'll show you one more pose and then we'll wrap up this demonstration. And for the legs, I'll have you slide a little bit more towards the edge of your chair so that when you extend your right leg, you have some room to extend it. There can be a little bend in this knee. Place your hands on your left leg, sit up tall, and from your hips, hinge forward. And as you do, you'll start to feel that pull in the back of the right thigh. And you have full control over how far you're folding forward or backing out, depending on how the joint in the knee feels, how the hip feels, how tight that muscle is. You don't have to move far to start to get the benefits. You don't have to touch your toes. So keep that in mind. What feels right where you feel the stretch, can still breathe. And we'll do the other side. So bring that leg in, hands to the right leg, extend the left leg, sit up tall, and then hinge forward to find the pull. Usually we'll stay in a pose like this for a little bit longer to give the muscles time to unwind, especially when we're breathing slowly and mindfully. And one side might be tighter than the other, and so you might not have that space before you feel that strong pull. And so if you're sitting up a little higher on this side, that's okay. If you have more space on this side, that's okay as well. And then we'll sit up and bring that foot in. One last pose I'll demonstrate. We call it Warrior 2. I'm going to show you Warrior 2 from the chair. And as long as your chair doesn't have any sides, you'll be able to swing your left leg over to the side. Extend your arms long and look over your left fingertips. Keep the shoulders relaxed even though they're extended. And push down into both feet so the legs are a little bit more active. From here, you'll turn the palms up, reach up high, look and track the fingertips as they reach up to the sky. And then exhale, extend, and reach long. Let's do that one more time. So turn the palms up, inhale, reach up high, let the fingertips touch. And then exhale, extend. Holding your gaze beyond the left fingertips for one more moment, and then relaxing the arms. And for purposes of our demonstration, we might as well do the other side. You can swing the right leg over to the other side of the chair, extend your arms long. Look beyond the right fingertips. Looks like a beautiful park that I'm looking at. Turn the palms up, inhale, reach up high. As long as you don't feel dizzy, track the fingertips as you exhale and extend long. If you do feel dizzy or lightheaded, keep the focus beyond the right fingertips. One more time, inhale, reach up high. And then exhale, extend, reach long. We'll come back to sit at center. And if you were in one of our classes, after doing more of those active moving poses or those balancing poses, we might spend some time seated quiet, leaning back in the chair or relaxing on the floor, and doing more of those breathing exercises or some of the attention training that we do that helps settle and calm the mind. But in terms of poses, those are some pretty basic types of stretches and movements that you might see in one of our classes.
Thank you, Lauren, for that excellent demo. For the viewers at home who enjoyed, who followed along and enjoyed this demo, or who have just been listening to the conversation and are inspired to try out a class, as Lauren said earlier, it meets every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Franklin Senior Center. Veterans and first responders and their immediate family members from any town are welcome. As Lauren said earlier, you can just Google the Warrior Within Yoga website and sign up for classes there. So you're welcome to drop in anytime. Typically there are breaks for the holidays. So to conclude today's interview, Lauren, I want to thank you so much for the incredible work that you do for our veterans, our first responders, their families. This is such an amazing tool for them to use for wellness and stress management, physical fitness. And we feel so fortunate to have partnered with you and to have your yoga classes in Franklin. And thank you for taking the time to be here today out of your busy schedule.
It is such an honor to see this project grow. And I have to say that one of the big components to our success in Franklin is having the relationship with you as our veteran service officer, and the difference that makes in motivating the veteran community to try this, because they trust you as a leader and they trust their veteran service officers as leaders, and they'll listen when people share these types of programs. And it's so evident that our work together has made such a huge difference in the success of Franklin, in seeing so many people come and try this service. And so I'm also very grateful for you and inviting me on here to talk about it. I'm hoping that people are seeing this and maybe are just a little bit curious what yoga might offer, and step in and try a yoga class. And if you don't like it, that's okay too.
That's right, absolutely. And some of our viewers may be interested in your fundraising efforts too. Which a lot of them look really fun. You mentioned having events at breweries and things like that.
Yes.
So,
and they can go to our events page on our website, and we periodically, usually once a month, have at least one event happening in the Metro West area. If you have a venue that you might want to host a fundraising yoga class, you can reach out to us as well, because we're always looking for more opportunities to teach to the public, which is a great way to link together and bridge that gap between the communities and those that serve in the communities. So yeah, if you're interested in volunteering, if you're interested in donating, interested in hosting space for us, please reach out with any questions. We'll be happy to get in touch, because it takes a village. It takes a lot of help, and the more we grow, the more need we'll have too.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren. And to the audience, thank you to all the veterans out there for your service. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our Veteran Services office, 508-613-1315. This concludes today's episode. My name is Shannon. This is Veterans Call. Have a great day.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.